team onto the stage. Our first team today will be Team Hygiene Sanitation. Please give the team a big warm welcome. Okay, so remind you again, you have 30 minutes. Okay, the first 5 minutes is protected, but then after that, it will be fully interactive. Okay, our timekeepers are sitting in front of here, so they'll give you 3 time notifications. Okay, so are you ready? Nervous? Yes. Okay, so we'll start the clock as soon as you start. Okay, good luck.
Good morning, judges. We are from Hygiene Sanitation. We provide innovative on-site sewage treatment technologies with a vision to provide sanitation for all. We are looking for $800,000 funding for 20% equity. Now, let me show you the problem. Over 30 billion cubic meters of sewage is dumped into the river every single day. This causes many problems, from health to economic development. It costs over $2 billion. So why is this happening? This is happening because only 10% of the toilets are connected to the septic tank or treatment plant, which is able to treat the sewage effectively. What is happening to the remaining 90%? Well, 54% are connected to the cesspool, which is cheap, but no better than a hole in the ground. Remaining 36% do not have access to toilet and practice open defecation. Many organizations, such as UN, are trying hard to end this open defecation by providing basic toilet, which uses cesspool. We, Hygiene Sanitation, is the only one focusing on supercharging the cesspool.
So before we continue, I just want to talk about why cesspools pose a problem today. As you can see in the animation, when waste enters a cesspool, which is basically a bottomless pit, it goes back into the ground without any prior treatment. Now this causes problems from agricultural, water, and aquatic resources. Our solution, the Cess to Fit, tries to resolve this. First off, it is retrofittable. The container itself can be fit into existing cesspools within a span of just an hour. Second off, it offers effective treatment. Now when waste enters our closed system, the solid waste is collected at the bottom and contained, whereas the liquid waste passes through our patented filter and emerges out of our patented one-way valve, ensuring that the waste does not come back in. Now this eliminates 99.9% of total coliforms, such as E. coli, which cause deadly diseases. Last but not the least, the Cess to Fit is the only affordable solution today. For a low-income household to trade up from a cesspool, the only alternative is a septic tank. But this costs just too much and takes too much time to do. So what we offer is a middle market. By pricing our Cess to Fit at a reasonable $100, we create an affordable solution for low-income households. So to summarize, the Cess to Fit is retrofittable, it's effective, and it is affordable. And we have global licensing to make this possible. And so it is the only viable solution that supercharges existing cesspools.
So how huge is our opportunity? Looking at Asia, there are more than 420 million households using cesspools. Whereas in South Asia and Southeast Asia, there are more than 200 million households using cesspools. Zooming into Thailand, 92% of the pirate households using cesspools. These create the markets up to $1.2 billion, and this is also our low-hanging fruit. So how can we enter the market? There are stakeholder demand chains. Two main key stakeholders, starting with the communities, which has the problem of the raw sewage being discharged into the rivers, and the government is aware of this problem. Bangkok Metropolitan Administration set aside $190 million to tackle this problem. And we, Hygiene Sanitation, we comes in, brings in investor, R&D team, and create the platform to help and work with the other key stakeholders to help solve this issue. And I take great pride in telling you that me and my team has been working closely with the communities, and we are being proactive to secure one of these canal projects, Hoi Quang Canal, which is one of the Bangkok's largest canal. The project itself worth $1.1 million. More importantly, We already secured the letter of intent to install our 20 units of Cess-to-Fit in the pilot project. And if the product works well, which we are very sure that it's going to work well because we did a lot of testing, we will replicate this model while we solve the problem in other canals in Bangkok throughout Thailand. So this will create the total potential demand of our Cess-to-Fit up to 11,000 units. We also plan to expand our market into Indonesia and India, where there is an imminent problem of raw sewage being discharged into the rivers. Also, there is a huge funding towards cleaning up the rivers in these two countries. So how are we going to make this happen?
So we at Hygiene Sanitation oversee and manage our operations from end to end, starting from developing and producing the products to choosing our distribution channels. And we also engage the customer directly to gain first-hand insights on their wants and needs. And with this, we provide them with the best solution. So with this feedback, we work closely with our R&D team at the Asian Institute of Technology, which is a leading institute for research in wastewater treatment systems in Southeast Asia. Our co-founder, Dr. Thamrat, is the head of this R&D team. And this team is also supported and funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for $5 million to develop on-site sewage treatment technology such as Cess-to-Fit and other products in the pipeline which Hygiene has access to. And to secure to meet our demand in the first 2 years, we've secured a relationship with a supplier in Thailand, JRM. Their capacity is over 50,000 units, which is well to cover the first 2 years of demand alone. And we're also looking at hundreds of other suppliers in Thailand, India, and Indonesia to expand and scale our business. And with our team here, we have several years of experience from different backgrounds, and more importantly, we have Dr. Thamrat, who's on our board of directors. He has over 15 years of experience in wastewater treatment system. And not only that, we've built ourselves a diverse and board of experts to help us along the way, from product development to intellectual property to business development, connecting with the customer, and expanding our business abroad. And with this team, we've accomplished several milestones. As Asama has mentioned, we've secured a letter of intent for the canal project just this month, and we're looking to fulfill the first order in May 2016. And from now to then, we'll do a third-party testing of the pilot project, in which, again, we're sure that we'll get, because our team has done extensive research on the product and testing on the product. And in the coming years, we'll launch other products in our pipeline and expand into India and Indonesia.
So over the next 5 years, we plan to grow rapidly across Asia. In the first 2 years itself, we grow steadily in Thailand. This is just to ensure that we have a base model ready. And in fact, our revenue in the first 2 years, which is close to $1.1 million, is just the projected revenue from the one project at Hue Quang Canal. Now, I want to mention this is just one project, and there are 11 such projects here in Bangkok and hundreds across Thailand. So the sales projections that we have are quite reasonable. We choose to base ourselves in Thailand for two key reasons. One is the proximity to our R&D team. This is to ensure that we build long-term relationships and we increase our speed to market as we have new products in our portfolio. The second reason is because the Board of Investments, the entity that holds for new ventures in Thailand, provides us a corporate income tax holiday for a period of 8 years. And so what we need from you as investors is $800,000 for a 20% equity stake in our business, as well as a seat in our board of directors. Now, the funds that you provide will be used towards the sales and marketing expenses that we plan to grow rapidly into Asian regions, and also to sustain our working capital, as most of our manufacturing is outsourced. As you can see in the equity structure itself, we've also given 20% of our equity to the R&D team. This is to ensure that we have mutual success and we work towards building a long-term relationship.
Can I ask a question? Just so I understand, for the canal project, the 1.1 million, how many, that's being paid to you, to the company?
That gets paid to us. It's a projected revenue. It's a valuation of the total project size based on 11,000 households. So if we fit the Cess-to-Fit in each of those 11,000 households, which is the size of that one project.
So essentially, the government is paying for these first 11,000 units of your product. Is that correct?
So the government is actually paying for 11 projects. It includes other canals, not just the Hue Quang Canal, and the total budget for that is $190 million.
So just explain to me, how much are you selling these units for that you're installing?
Okay, so based on our pricing market research,
No, just this project.
this project is $1.1 million. We're pricing our CESTIF at $100 per unit.
And in the future, after this project, let's say it goes well, the next question is, who are the people that are going to be paying you this $100 for the installation of the unit? Is it governments, or is it the low-income housing people that you've mentioned, or low income, let's say you were saying?
Okay, so let me explain to you that our target market is the local government, and let me walk you through the purchasing process of this Hui Huang, which is the pilot project, and then we replicate this to other canals. So at the beginning, the government aware of this problem, and they allocate the budget. So the key message is that we have the fixed budget here, and when the government approved of the budget, we have worked closely, because this one is one of the pilot projects which has a lot of stakeholders, including from the communities leader and private sectors and public sector. We will design all the construction and the sanitation system together, and then government will.
The government is your customer? Is that what you're saying for this product?
Yes,
Okay.
the government will be.
And for this project and in the future, your objective is to make the relationship with the governments throughout these areas, and then the government will pay you for these units. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So the primary customers that we have identified is the government, but we're also accessing the market through other channels as well. For example, we're going through NGOs, partnering with them. We're also doing a B2C and a B2B model in which developers, for example, can use our product because it's more affordable for low-income households.
So let me ask you another question. You're telling me that this is a pilot project, but this project has been, your inventor has been working on it for a while. Do you have any that you've had installed for a year or two that you can tell me about the success or failure, or what are the changes or modifications?
So there have been 11 units prototyped and tested, and till today there's 3 units that's installed in the household since last year. I'm not sure about the exact date, but it's over 6 months, and the product is still performing great, and the result is that the number is that they're able to eliminate 99.9% of the total coliform that we mentioned earlier from the discharge water. 99.9? Yes.
I have a question on your valuation. You mentioned $800,000 for 20% of the company, right? So the business looks great. It's pretty interesting, given that you're selling to the government. Apparently, there's problems, clear problems. But the trick for me is kind of like you're licensing this on a 5-year basis with option for renewal, correct?
Correct.
And can you explain a bit more on what those conditions are? And for example, if you're successful in the 4th year, what would prevent the person or the company that you're licensing from, which I understand is AIT, right, from maybe giving it to somebody else who offers a better value proposition?
Correct.
So basically, we have a global exclusive license from AIT, and we have the option to extend the period. But also, we have a limitation that if we do not hit certain sales, we have to pay some fine. But we have the option to extend the period.
So can you share those figures? Kind of like what are those terms?
The figure is still under negotiation. We only have the MOU right now.
So just to add on to that, we're giving 8% in royalty fee, which is actually much higher than normal. And this is exactly because of the risks that we hold, and also because we have access to other products in pipeline. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Forgive me if I don't understand why you're here asking for money, because I believe you gave the 99-second pitch,
Right.
in which you mentioned the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I noticed that you mentioned it briefly in your presentation. This is a big deal. I'm familiar with the foundation. I understand how it operates. That should be a lead-in, yet I have to go back 10 pages to see any mention of that. Since you have an association with the Gates Foundation, tell me why you're here.
So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is specifically to develop the technologies themselves, but not for not to fund the business or the commercial arm, which is Hygeia.
But they do fund businesses like yours sometimes, so why would they not fund yours if they've already funded?
We've been in discussion with them, and the only part that we're negotiating with them with is that they're willing to help us in the pilot project and help fund the pilot project, but they're not going to give us, say, $1 million investment or $800,000 investment to start our business, and for that matter.
How do you know that? Have you asked them for it?
Yes, we actually met an officer from the Bill and Melinda Gates just last month.
Who?
With this, Roshan Rajreshta.
Okay. My second question is almost a repeat. I look at who you're tied in with the Indian Angel Investor Network. Very strong, very active organization. $200,000 is petty cash for that group. I'm familiar with them. Why are you here asking for money when one of your advisors is from the Indian Angel Network?
Yeah, in fact, for the Indian Angel Network, we recently went to the Thai startup competition in India just last week, and we won the investor track there, and we gained traction there, and that's why we got connected to the Indian Angel Network. And in fact,
So you weren't connected to them until after you won the contest?
No. So at the contest itself, we gained a lot of interest from them, and we were actually invited to their office to pitch to about 20 of their members in the network. And from there, they've been sending us email, and we've been in discussion with them to further connect with them and get the funding.
Okay. My other question is, so to follow up on that, Mr. Gupta's name from the Indian Angel Network would not have appeared in any of your information until after that contest, correct? But now he's listed as an advisor. When was that contest?
Last week.
So he's actually a recent addition into our board.
Very
of advisors.
recent.
Yes, very
Yeah, yeah,
recent.
yeah.
And it's also very critical because he's the one who's going to help us connect to various suppliers in India as well as links to government networks.
I have a question going back to the customer. You plan to reach 25 million in US dollars in revenue in 5 years. What's the proportion of that that's coming from private sector instead of relying on government only? Because as an investor, I would be, it's a little risky in terms of if you're going to just rely on government funding only, because in terms of like sales cycle is not certain and everything else, and especially you're expanding to other countries as well.
Again, thank you. And we understand the risk this poses, and we face it firsthand. So to de-risk that situation, to answer your question of how much proportion of sales will actually be through a B2C model, we haven't broken down the figures yet, but we want to establish our first frame of reference through a B2G model, because this gives us easy access into India.
What do you mean by you haven't broken down the proportion, the numbers, since you've actually made the forecast?
Okay, so we're working down the numbers for Thailand, India, and Indonesian market, but we haven't specifically broken down the numbers, say, in Thailand for the B2G market to B2C or B2B. The forecast here is specifically for B2G market alone.
Can I ask a question about this? This is going to decide whether you're going to win this competition, this question. Are you ready?
Yes.
20% of your score is based upon social, environment, and economic sustainability. Social. We know corruption exists when you sell with a government, whether that's in Thailand, in Asia, or in India, or the US. It is very explicit here. So what is your policy? And I'd like to know it particularly in terms of how you're going to sell this policy to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
We have a strict anti-corruption policy, and we stick to that. The way we plan to actually reach our sales numbers is actually by recruiting experienced sales managers in every region that we
Sorry,
expand
corruption
to.
exists.
Yes.
You're not going to get the sales if you do not participate unless you have a very, very clear plan. What is your plan?
For the first pilot project on the Hoi Kwang community, we're very confident on that project, because that project is one of the model projects in Bangkok that's not politically influenced. So corruption is politicians are very scared to do
Sorry,
that.
that's not the question. The question is, when you face it, what is your plan for this social part of your business?
Well, we do not we do not participate in a corruption. I don't believe that we cannot make sales if we don't participate in the corruption. I used to work for a logistics company, Japanese logistics company, and there was a corruption in the logistics, especially for the duty. But we stopped corruption, but we are still able to maintain the relationship and operation. I don't think I believe we can still make some sales, even though we don't participate in the corruption.
And to add on that, for example, like the Hoi Huan Canal, which is the pilot project, is a role model, and we're not alone, because we have to work with communities where, like, our advisors that connected us to these communities has been working and helping the communities for 10 years. So we are more than like their consultants, and then we try to connect them with other private sectors, which in this project alone, there are many volunteers from CP or other big organizations.
I would just suggest that you make a written policy and make it very, very clear.
That's really
Okay, let's get back to the cost of the project a bit. You said that the price is about $100, right? And I saw in the materials about the cost, unit cost is about 55, right? 55 per unit.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
unit, yes.
Okay, what is that for? Is it for production, manufacturing, or what?
Yes, that's for the product manufacturing, yes.
Okay, how much is the installation cost?
Installation cost is not included in there.
Yeah, but where is it in your P&L?
No.
And how long does it take for installing
So
this?
Installation takes 1 hour, and it requires 2 people.
Yeah.
It's usually borne by the contractor or the builder who actually implements the system, so it's not a cost in our books.
But given your price, only $100, how much does it cost for that? Because installation and taking the equipment from the factory or wherever to the site and installing it may
So
take up to a day,
yes.
right? So a day, 2 people would be 1,000. That's
Yes.
about $30.
So the only
How are you going to make money out of it?
the cost that we included after the manufacturing of $55 is about $1.5 for delivering for per unit from the factory to the construction site or to the contractors. And from there, the contractor bear the cost of installation, which again, it takes only 2 people with less than an hour to install. The
But
unit installation is very
How much
easy.
you pay contractor? It's not in here.
The contractors will have to bear that cost.
No. But in your P&L, I could not see it. The cost to your contractor.
No,
Where is
the
it?
contractor is not our contractor. They're the contractor for the project.
So who paid for it?
The point is that you said that the consumer can buy it at
Yeah.
100, but the
Yeah.
fact is that
It's more
it
than
may be
100.
200 by the time
Yeah, that's right.
the installation is
So can
The
you
installation,
clarify?
again, it's very easy. It's
No, it doesn't matter whether it's easy or not.
Mhm.
What we want to know is, yes, the cost associated with it. And you are saying that the household can buy it for 100. Now you are saying to me that, oh, it's not 100, but we would like to know how much. Okay, if they have to pay additional money for it, but if they don't have to pay additional cost for it, whether it has been included in your plan. That's my point.
So for the community, most of the people in the community that we've worked with actually work in construction. So again, this product installation is very easy. That's the point I want to make, is that they can install the product themselves.
You mean the one who use it install it by themselves?
They can do it themselves, yes. However, the cost breakdown comes to a couple more things. So again, one, delivering the product from the factory or the warehouse to the site. That's about $1.5 per unit. And 2 is the labor cost. Again, it's less than 1 hour. In Thailand, 300 baht per day. It's going to be very, very small, very negligible. And 3, the only other thing that you have to do is to desludge your cesspool, the existing cesspool that household have. And that usually costs between 250 baht to 500 baht.
That's more than $10 or $20 already, right?
But
So-
Yes,
just to add on, this is a cost that they will have to bear regardless of which system they switch up to. So if you prefer to switch up to a septic tank, it's actually going to cost you much more. In fact, that's going to be close to $300 because there's excavation cost, rebuilding the foundation. all that inclusive. So really, ours is a better alternative.
I have a question now. I think it's the CEO that mentioned the figure, your percentage of 99.9%. And I believe the young lady had mentioned, I think the term was a lot of testing. I'd like you to take about 60 seconds, and I'd like the young lady to explain to me what lots of testing means. I want to know with who, when, how long, because to back up a CEO's claim of 99.9%, you have a big job.
Well, for a lot of testing, we also have the third partner that did a lot of research for us, including the
What kind of partner?
The university, one of the leading university in Thailand.
Okay.
And we have sourced the testing into one of the province that face a lot of problem of the public health, which caused by the raw sewage.
Who
such as
else?
in the
Who else besides the university?
So actually, most of the testing, again, we have the research team at AIT who developed the product and did the testing themselves, and they've included other party who helped them run some tests on the effluent, which is the discharge water from the tank itself too.
I don't think responses like that are credible. When a CEO of a company is claiming that any product, certainly something that handles human waste, will filter out 99.9% of something, you're going to have better factual information behind that to support it. You can't just say a lot of testing and somebody's done this and somebody's done that because it's you that's on the line as the CEO of the company. And I don't think that has been addressed appropriately.
So part of that actually is we're launching a pilot project with the Hua Kwang Canal, and between now and May 2016, which we plan to fulfill the first order, when they plan to actually scale up from the pilot project, we're going to get a third-party verification on the product performance and actually ensure that it meets the 99.9% performance that we mentioned to you. And again, we're sure that this is going to work because we have AIT who developed the product and done the testing themselves, and they are a leading institute for wastewater treatment system in Southeast Asia.
Back to the revenue number and market a bit. Okay. In your projection, you are saying something like, on the fifth year, let's go to the fifth year revenue. How much is it? 25?
Yes.
25 million, okay. Let's talk about Thailand, all right? Thailand is second year. Okay, so that's about 960,000, right? So that would be about how many households?
That's 9,000.
Or only 9,000 households?
In the first 2 years, we're only targeting the 11,000 households
Right.
for the Hua Kwang Canal that we mentioned.
Okay. But how many households in Thailand that are along the canal? You focus on the canal, right?
Correct.
How many households?
So from our source, it says that
What source?
The NCBI. I forget the full name, but it's the NCBI. So the NCBI actually more than 50% of households in Asia lives next to a river or a canal. So that's more than 50%. It's about 6 million households in Thailand. But to answer your question furthermore, we're not just looking at canals alone. We've been in discussion with the Ministry of Public Health in Thailand, and this problem is not just for households next to the canals. Household inland, further inland, in the north and northeast, they've seen cases that people get sick because of the contamination from toilet waste into their cesspool, contaminating their water sources or agricultural or food sources. So, the product is not just going to be installed in household next to canals, but anywhere, any household that have the cesspools.
And just to add on to that, as we plan to expand in regions across Asia, we can highlight this one organization just as an example. It's Sulab International Organization. They've made over 55 million toilets that use cesspools. So really, our product is a backfill for all these toilets, all these cesspools. And there's a huge potential to grow, and we're just tapping into less than 1% of this market. So at the end of the 5 years, we have multiple exit strategies. We're looking at an IPO or an M&A, but regardless of the exit strategy we choose, we're looking at an exit multiple of close to 10x. And
I think the thing here with the exit strategy, right? If you don't own the IP or if you can't extend it, right, it's gonna mean nothing, right? Your revenue stream is not yours, right? So one of the things you may want to consider is actually a way to convert that IP into perhaps a stake in the company before you actually, after that 5 years, if it's successful.
I mean, that's a very good question. Have you not had any other investors look at this and ask who owns and controls this IP? And when I get a response that we have an MOU and we don't really have any solid numbers tied to it, that scares me as an investor.
Again, we have the MOU. I understand your point, and we're securing that contract with.
But are we the only ones that have asked you this question about who controls the IP
Yes,
and these numbers?
No, you're not the only one who asked us the question, and for that answer is AIT. And again, we're approached by AIT.
I'm sorry, I have to
be the
cut you off
commercial
there. Our time's over. Thank you very much, team
you so
High
much.
GS Sanitation from Sasin.